Hi, my name is Matthew Parrish, and what I got to witness and be a part of was pretty cool. I got to go out on the street in Minneapolis, and that before the King's Banquet and before everything went down, we went out and handed out invitations to people, like really nice invitations, and we got to talk to people, and I got to go with this girl, and we worked together as a team, and it was really cool to see how like our different functions and our different gifts were just worked pretty good together. And me and my brother, my friend Anthony, we got to pray over each other and over other people, and we really like we could just sense the Spirit was with us, and it was really cool just to feel that presence and that unity of the body of all these other people from all over the place, from all over different walks of life, from different countries even, and like just together in one accord and one unity, and it was really cool. And as the people started coming in, we kept on praying, and it could sense like the spiritual warfare effect. I could see it on people, like certain people that were coming in, like they were just bound up, and it was hard to deal with, because I've been there and I've seen that, in my own life. I've witnessed that in my own life, and so it was hard. It was hard for on one aspect, but it was hopeful, because I knew it was the start of chains being broken and seeds being planted, and that's where my hope was, in the true freedom that would come eventually. But I was confronted with my own past and that walk in a lot of my friends' lives and some of my family members' lives still. I rather enjoyed watching my fellow, what do you call them, students, my fellow students here at BCom who got to be a part of that, and watching like their hearts break for a whole another group, maybe not a people group, unreached people group across the sea, but an unreached people group right in their own backyard. And I really, my heart broke for them as it was breaking for them. It was a really cool thing to see, and yeah, and I got to see like young men and women like step out in faith and boldness where I don't think they would have stepped out any other time, and it really encouraged me, to see youngsters doing that. We were part of this human video thing. It's pretty powerful, and it showed like a person's like how their relationship with God and Jesus, and how like we get sidetracked and we get involved with things that bind us and hold us, and eventually, if we just turn to Jesus, those things that hold us can be broken. And I didn't get to see the people, the crowd, or the guests, during this time, but afterwards, as I was about to give my testimony, I could see a softness in people's eyes, that wasn't there, beforehand, and I could see that a lot of people could relate with this, and whatever part it was, whatever was binding them, they could still relate, because a chain is a chain. But as I was giving my testimony, I didn't know exactly what I was going to say, and and I gave a part of it that I've never told people before. I mean, not publicly anyways. And it was a part where I was desperate, and I was on a ground looking for some heroin I'd lost in a dirty bathroom, and it wasn't a pretty part of my life, and I wasn't even sure why it was coming out of my mouth as it was coming out of my mouth as I was on the stage on my hands and knees. I wasn't sure why I was doing this. It didn't make sense to me, but as I stood up and I looked out into the people, I could see their eyes, and I could see that they were relating with me, and that they understood, and they knew, and then right then and there, it started flowing from me, and I understood that they needed to see hope, and they needed to see an end result, you know, and I was honored that I was used in such a way, you know. Okay, my name is Matthew, and I'm 34 years old, and I'm from St. Paul, and my testimony starts off as with my mother, of course. I mean, I guess my mom was, or is still this day, a heroin addict, and at the time of my birth, she was a prostitute, and yeah. So that's how I was born. I don't know who my father is and all that. And the first parts of my life were really traumatic or disturbing. I didn't realize it, though, at the time. I just thought it was normal. And there was a lot of abuse for me and my sister both. Not necessarily from my mom, but from all the people she let into our lives. Eventually, my mom ended up going to jail and prison and whatnot, and we went into different shelters and foster care, and eventually we were adopted. This is where we heard about Jesus and whatever, and it was good. I liked this guy Jesus. Didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, though, and as a matter of fact, the more I thought about it, I became angry with God, and eventually I didn't want anything to do with him. I didn't ever deny him, but I just didn't think he was for me or from where anybody that I came from. Maybe for these people that adopted me and all their friends and their church and everyone like that, but not from where I came from. And that really made me angry, because from where I came from, I loved those people. And I just didn't make sense to me that if God knew everything, how come it was like that, you know? I didn't understand why I had cigarette burns on my back, but he loved me and he knew everything, you know? So I pretty much walked away from him. Everything, and didn't want nothing to do with him. You talk to me about Jesus, I would walk away from you. And this started off my rebellion, and I figured if Jesus wasn't for me, I was going to be everything that I was created for over here. And by the time I was 14, I was in jail for a firearms charge, and so on, and eventually became a heroin addict and a meth addict. I was a junkie in the streets, and I was in and out of prison, in and out of jail until about 32, and I got raided by the BCA, and my life came to an end again, and I was on my way back to prison. When I was offered a chance to go to Teen Challenge, at first I was like, okay, well, Teen Challenge, Christian people going back to prison, Christian people doing kind of freedom. Okay, I'm going to take the Christian people and I'm just going to run with it. And, well, this is where it gets tricky, because I went in there and I could see Jesus in everybody, and I could feel love on them, but I also could feel something else. I could feel my skin crawl whenever they wanted to pray for me, and the nightmares. I had these nightmares since I was a little kid, and I'd wake up and I'd still see these things in my room, and it would literally paralyze me, you know, to the point where I would urinate myself because I couldn't move because I was so afraid and bound in this fear. The nightmares started coming like a lot worse than usual, and like it just got bad until one day on a Saturday morning, I was confronted by a staff member, and the staff member got scared because of what I said to him. I didn't even think it was bad, but he was scared, and they called the police, and the police came, and I fought with them, and I was taken to jail under a bunch of different more felonies and whatever, and I became really cynical about God, and I became really kind of arrogant with Him. And I told God that if there really was this anointing on my life, and if there really was truly this calling that all of a sudden these people at Teen Challenge and all these other churches that we started going to were telling me, if this was true, then He was going to do the impossible for me, and He was going to send Sam, the director of Teen Challenge, in to come and get me out of jail and bring me back to Teen Challenge, and then I would believe God that He was for me. So I'm laying in my bunk, and I get this call over the loudspeaker. Parish, your pastor here is here to see you. And I look out my window, and there he is, little Sam, with his eyes that are glowing and a smile on his face. And I'm like, okay. And so I go down there and we talk, and he prays, and then he tells me that he has to pray some more and talk to some people, and he'll come back, and he's not sure what he's going to do yet. And I just looked at him like, okay, but in my heart I already knew what was going to happen. And I said, okay, fine. So I went up to my room, and I was just like, this is impossible, this can't be truly happening. And I was just filled with joy there, One minute I'm desperate and dying and like talking crazy to God, and next minute I'm filled with joy because it didn't make sense to me. But so I got a couple more days, he comes and he gets me out and brings me to Teen Challenge, and they start talking to me about if I felt like oppression or possession. And I laughed at them because I told them that they tried it when I was little, and they tried casting out demons when I was little, and all it did was nothing, and all it did was make me cry, and I ran away. And so I laughed at him and said, that's not true, because see, I didn't believe in this, in a lot of things. I didn't believe in that sense of the spiritual world yet. And well, he said that he was going to fast and pray, and that other people were fasting and praying. And 10 days later, the Spirit hit the chapel, and everybody hit their face. Everybody in this place hit their face. And I guess I was delivered. I know I was delivered, but I really don't remember a whole lot of that happened. But I was freed, and I was set free, and my life changed from then on. I have struggles, but my life is truly different. 10 days later, I was baptized with water, and within the next hour, I was on my face praying in a different language. And ever since then, there's just been, my life has been a roller coaster. There's been a lot of downs, but there's been many more ups, and even in the downs, I know that His Spirit is within me, and that I can overcome any of this. I found my way. I graduated Teen Challenge in May, the end of May, and I came here to visit another brother that came here after Teen Challenge, and God told me to stay. And at first I was really skeptical about that, and I didn't think that this was the place for me, but I didn't know how I was going to afford it. And so I told God that I'd stay as long as the money would keep me here, and the money has kept me here, and He's kept me here, and my eyes have been open to a cross-cultural experience, and not necessarily like in Africa, but right here in Minnesota, with kids from all different walks of life, and how we all fit together as one body, and it's, to me, it's truly beautiful to see that, and that's pretty much my testimony.